huh? I don't think I can get any better, though.
That ain't the way I see it.
Oh, yeah? Well, hit me on.
Well, for one, you missed a very important meeting. Not to mention our last few sessions, I'm not even gonna count the rehearsals.
It's probably because of all this crap you keep shoving up your damn nose.
Well, maybe I don't need as much rehearsal as some other folks.
David, this can't go on.
What you got to say, Blue? That's right, Otis. Whatever you say, Otis.
Now, David, it's like this. Either you gonna straighten up, or we letting you go.
Blue, you all right with that?
I miss you. But not if you're hurting the group.
Hurting the group? I'm the best thing ever happened to this damn group.
Nobody's bigger than the group.
You all ain't stupid. I'm the one selling the records. They coming to see me.
They're coming to see the Temptations.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. You wish you could work it the way I do. But you can't. Because there is only one David Ruffin. And without him, the Temps ain't nothing but a group in search of a David Ruffin. Matter of fact, I've been thinking, we should call the group David Ruffin and the Temptations. Yeah, that sounds good to me. You're begging me not to leave, and I refuse to let you go. Yeah, David Ruffin and the Temptations. What do you say?
That ain't never gonna happen.
All 3 eyes, I keep my eyes open. If you got, stay strapped before you die smoking. All 3 eyes, I keep my eyes open. Ain't no competition, I'm God's chosen. All 3 eyes, I keep my eyes open. If you got, stay strapped before you die smoking. All 3 eyes, I keep my eyes open. Ain't no competition, I'm God's chosen. I can't hide my face.
Peace and blessings, family, and welcome to Universoul Balance. I'm your host, Chief Jamal Cannon, coming to you directly here on YouTube. Don't forget to watch the video, subscribe, like, comment, hit that notification button to stay up to date with the latest content as we bring you that balance, that life balance in the world of extremes. We just saw the clip from the classic movie, The Temptations, originally a made-for-TV miniseries, but over time it's gained a cult following, and it's still something that a lot of us watch to this day. In that scene, we saw the great actor Leon, one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood, black or white, great actor, playing the part of David Ruffin. And in that part, Otis, the brothers Otis and the other brother, I forget his name, but it come to me. They were talking to Leon, David Ruffin, about his ego and not being a part of the group or not being on par with the rest of the group. Now, at this time, David Ruffin was one of the, probably not one of, but probably the biggest star in music, if for sure one of the biggest stars in music at this time. And what we're talking about in today's video is that ego and talent will always get beat out by intellect and organization. Ego and talent will always get beat out by intellect, organization, but most importantly, the collective unity will always beat out individual ego and talent. And that's a lesson that we must learn. It's a lesson that a lot of us don't learn till it's too late sometimes. I've myself been in those situations on both ends of the spectrum, where it was a collective pushing for one cause and had to deal with others' ego and talent, or it was my own ego and talent that maybe got in the way, being young and learning and growing. But we must understand that irregardless of how much talent you bring to the table, how much you feel that you are bigger than the collective, that if it is something that is solid, that's been established before you got there, like in the case when we watching the Temptations movie, he was not the original creator of the group. He was not the founder of the group. The group was established, and he came in and brought his talents and gifts to the group and helped it elevate, but he was not the entire group. He was one of 5 brothers. And the people knew them as the Temptations. Though they recognized his talent and his gift, the people knew them as the Temptations. Now, what happened was, being in that spotlight, he got used to the fame. He got used to the accolades. He started to abuse himself, as they talked about in the clip. He started to let everything go to his head, and his head blew up, and his ego got in the way. But the thing that we got to understand, family, is that ego within itself is all about the self. Okay, let's look at the definition of ego. Let's look at the definition real quick. All right, we're gonna look at that definition. And ego, when we look at this definition, ego is basically what it's saying here is centered around self, being self-absorbed, all to self. And when you're a part of a collective, if you're just only trying to glorify and uplift yourself, that is going to be counterproductive to the collective efforts of the group. That is going to be counterproductive to the mission. And what will happen is you don't humble yourself and have humility, you will be removed, whether it's by your own choice, by making that choice in your own head, or that group removing you. You will be removed, because the ego of a man or a woman and the talent will never outweigh organization and intelligence. Otis, the founding member of the Temptations, he was the one who had put together the structure to make that a profitable group. He was the one who had put together the structure and the intelligence to make them who they were. And he understood that he needed others to make this work, that he couldn't do this alone. David Ruffin, who to this day is still recognized as maybe the greatest male voice in singing of all time, but he didn't reach his full potential because his ego got in the way. And he thought that his talent and his ego was so much more than the groups that he could stand without them. And as we found out through our time, unfortunately, that was not the case. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. There has been solo stars and groups and people of that nature that went out on their own and did better. True indeed. I won't doubt that. But for the most part, look at those situations, okay? They were like, if you want, let's take, we can even use NSYNC or Justin Timberlake. NSYNC was a creation of a record label that also bagged Justin Timberlake. It didn't like they founded the group and invited him in. He was the one who had the intellectual property and the cachet and the connections with the label. So he was able to branch off because he carried the intellect. He carried the intellectual property of that along with the label, and he had the marketability. So he was part of the foundation. David Ruffin was not part of the foundation of the Temptation. He came into the Temptations. He helped them grow, but he was not a part of it. And that's what you have to remember. Whenever you join in, whether it's a business venture, whether it's even a relationship, or whether it's a group, if it's already established and there's already a structure there, no matter how big you get in that group, no matter how much talent you display, you have to stay humble. You have to understand that that is not something that you built, that you are simply a part of that. Same as in sports. As great as Michael Jordan is, or as great as LeBron or Kobe, all of them are, they got drafted to that team. They accomplished the things with that team, but when they left that team was still there. Yeah, they had their own brands, but that team didn't go away because they left. The NBA didn't go down because they left. NFL don't go down because Brett Favre retires or something like that, or Michael Vick leaves. They still move on because it's already a founded organization. There's already a structure there, and there's already a way of doing things that's not dependent on one person. So a lot of us get ourselves into bad situations because we join things, or we get a job, or we join a business venture, or we get into a situation where we are trying to come in and be a part of it, and as time goes on, we feel that we can now elevate and speak out or do things or have a right to certain things when we weren't the foundation of it. I deal with it with my company. Being an employer, I've seen people that I've trained be very talented, be very gifted, but believe that they're bigger than the group. They believe that they see the numbers and think, well, I'm doing these numbers, you can't survive without me. And it's like, I survived before you and will after you. And your ego getting in the way, your selfish desires is counterproductive to the team. So regardless of what you're doing, I have to let you go. And they're shocked. And that's kind of what we saw in the clip with Otis, with the Temptations brothers. They knew he was talented. They wanted him. They was going there to convince him to come and be more part of the group and to audition, show up on time, to be more prompt. But once they saw that his ego was that big and his personal, that he thought that his talent outweighed the talent of others, they realized that we could just wash our hands with this brother. We don't need this brother. And that's what usually happens. A lot of times you put yourself out of situations because you get to the point where you forget where you came from or you forget how you came in. If you're that type of person, and I've been that type of person, certain things I realized that I'm not going to be able to join and be part of the collective. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest to the point where you got to realize that, hey, I may have to just start my own thing and build my own thing. A lot of us don't want to do that because that's harder. It's harder to establish something and establish a working formula versus to coming in the one that already works. When people come into my company, it's already a formula and a way of doing things. Even if they have prior experience, it's already a blueprint there that they can follow for success. All right. And those who succeed and have long-term success are people that humble themselves, people that realize that, yeah, I got talent, I'm making money, I'm doing my thing, but I have to show respect. And because they humble themselves, they're eventually exalted. All right. Let's even look at this. Let's take a look and see even what the scriptures say about this. All right. Let's read what it say about this. I'm in Philippians. It says, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. So when you're looking, and then I just mentioned the scripture before about when he who humbles himself will be exalted, and he who exalted himself will be abased, meaning that put down low. When you're humble and when you're willing to learn, there's an advantage in that. You are able to soak in. You are able to stand on a foundation and build from that foundation. Now, those who humbled themselves and came into my company, I've seen them grow on to do greater things than I've done because they were able to humble themselves and be exalted. It's a universal principle because you don't have to create a base. You're able to stand and get your footing. You're able to come in, get a consistent paycheck, not have to worry about the expenses or this and that nature, not have to worry about payroll. You're able to put money to the bank. And then once you learn and humble yourself and you take care of another man's possession or another woman's possession, you get blessed with your own versus coming into it and trying to change it with your ego and not respecting the intellectual property that was invested, the time that was invested, the money that was invested, not just basically being a clown, being a sucker, tricking your own self, not forgetting that you came in on something that was already established and that was moving without you and that will move on without you. Yes, you added to it. Yes, you're talented. Yes, you're gifted. But you don't make that situation. You are part of that situation. You can only make it better or worse. And if you make it worse, you may be deemed to be replaceable, irregardless of who you are. You must remember that, family. When it comes to the context of the earth, we are all replaceable. And that's the truth that people don't want to understand. Yes, we are unique. Yes, we have unique qualities and gifts and things of that nature. But we are all also replaceable. That's just a fact. when you get, if you got fired from your job or left your job, what's the most likely thing that's going to happen? They're just going to find somebody to do that same job that you were doing. Even if they do it differently, the job's still getting done. As great as any football player, baseball player, boxer, there's always someone who as great or greater that comes along in the future. So we must all stay humble and understand that we can be replaced at any given moment. And what that really does, it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you sharp, it keeps your mind open to growth and learning. When you feel you have it all the answers, you cannot be taught. Why do you think that it has been written and said that I come not for the sick? I mean, I come not for those who are whole, but those that are sick. Those who call the Messiah, Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai, whatever name you want to say, Yeshua, doesn't matter. That is universal wisdom. You can't get uplifted if you already feel you're uplifted. If you already feel you're at the top, there's nowhere else to go. But if you constantly understand, I need to be humble, I need to learn, I need to grow, you always have room to be better. You always go to the top, and you're never content with settling. When you have ego and talent, you get absorbed, you get self-absorbed, you will stop, you'll lose motivation. Look at David, look at the clip we was watching of David Ruffin. Look at how he was just chilling. He just thought everything was all good. He was telling them, hey man, why don't y'all just relax, let's enjoy the fruits of our labor. And it was like, no, we got tours, we got this to do. You always are motivated and on your purpose when you're humble. When you're not humble, you will fall off of your purpose every time. It's only a matter of time before you fall off your purpose. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be confident. It's the difference between confidence and arrogance. When you're confident, you have belief that you're going to always grow. You're going to always be better. You're going to always be able to add. You have self-belief that you can get the job done. You have self-belief that you have value and worth. You project that confidence. People believe in you because they feel it. But when you're arrogant, you are basically an annoyance. You are someone who is unpleasant to be around. You project unrealistic goals and expectations that only can be seen that way by you because you're in your own space, your own world. Confidence is a shared feeling. Arrogance is a selfish feeling. Confidence, others can feel your confidence, but when you're arrogant, you repel others. And you don't want to be arrogant, you want to be confident. You want to have belief. You want to have, you want to be able to inspire. That's what you want to do. So with that being said, family, that's my video for today. Don't forget to hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, want to hear what y'all think. Make sure you share. Peace and blessings, family. Peace and love.